Hey everyone, Nolar here, back with 5-9 Gaming, and this time we're going to do the Dokkan Fest TUR tier list so far in 2021, right before the 6-year anniversary on Global. So I'm not alone, I'm joined by the Dokkan Master himself, Gale Wright.
Hello everybody, how's everybody doing today? Hopefully this one will be a bit more appreciated than the last one, I suppose.
Yeah, Rip Sora, that's all I could say. Let's before we dive right in, let's talk about how we evaluate the units, like what the parameters are and all that stuff before we jump right in. So for this list, we are not including LRs. We're only including Dokkan Fest TURs, but all the TURs are listed there. We're taking them at a level of Rainbow, so 100% potential system. And of course, we're not including EZA. So, like for example, into UI Goku, he's not involved in here. So, with that said, let's go with the factors for rating. They're a little bit weighted, as Gail and I discussed. So, the number one factor we're going to look into is the strength of the card alone, like how good can they perform their role. The categories they're in and the categories they lead, like the new categories, for example, how they support their categories. So that's, if they have a support passive in there. And then last but not least, how often can you find them? Now, the friends list sucks, so we put it like at the lowest part of the factor, but it is something to consider. So with that said, anything before we move on, Gail?
No, nothing. Obviously, reminder that this is our opinions at the end of the day. We tried judging it the best we could, and we tried looking at it objectively, but at the end of the day, you guys will have something different, which we'd love to hear in the comment section, of course. But also, we'd like to see, this is ours as well. This is what we think of the units themselves. So you'll see what our reasoning was as we go along, of course.
Of course. So, as Gail mentioned, if you guys have something different you want to dispute in a healthy manner, check it out in the comments below. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you're new here and like the content, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when we go live with videos. So, with that said, let's dive right in. All right, guys, so we're going to dive right in. It's just me and Gail here. So, we have our own personal list of our top 10s. And the way that we have calculated this out to get the final list of top 10s here is we took the positions of each individual unit, added them together, and then collated them going from the lowest number, which being the highest rank, down to the highest one. And if someone was on one of our lists that wasn't on the others list, they just get in a value of 11. So with that said, you can start to see as we push this together, at number 10, we've got Angel Golden Frieza. Why'd you put him there, Gail? What's your justification?
Well, for me, Golden Frieza, I think, is still one of the better Dokkan Fest exclusives, even though he's a bit forgotten, I feel. I mean, a lot of the Wicked Bloodline units, I feel, sometimes are forgotten, except for STR Cooler, to be honest. He's still really good. He infinitely stacks defense. He can transform first turn as well. He's on a bunch of categories as well. Res Warriors, USS, Reps of Universe 7, T-Boost, Wicked Bloodline, of course, Full Power. A lot of categories that are quite often used in the game and or are in Super Battle Road, right? He's awesome, I think, as well. Like, especially when he transforms as well, he can has a great chance of stunning the enemy, which is good as well. Especially in Super Battle Road, and then of course he has an insane amount of attack and defense, and then potentially damage reduction once he goes below the HP threshold. So I think he's really good overall. He covers all aspects of the game pretty much, and again, a first turn transformation. Like, you can decide as well when to transform. It's not like in Ribrian where it's a instant transformation. It's an active skill. You can transform when you want to, when it's necessary. So I think overall he's just super usable.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I mean, just his leader skill alone of Resurrected Warriors, Otherworld Warriors, Key 4, 150. I think on our last tier list about 5-6 months ago, he was in our top 3, right? Yep. And well, unfortunately, he's fallen down to 10. But yeah, overall, he's useful in all events, like you mentioned, long-term events, because he raises defense consistently on every super. And then he seals in pre-transformation and post-transformation. He can stun. SBR is fantastic, and he's part of Universe 7, which is thanks to the 6-year anniversary, which Global will get soon, and which JP already had. He's on a stack team, so He's like a Swiss Army knife, and I think he's really, really good. But unfortunately, he is at number 10, which should tell you guys how crazy the last set of Dokkan Fests we've gotten in the last, I guess, what, 6 months has been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to number 9, we've got STR Bojack. Bojack. Okay, let me head off on Bojack here. For a while, I was kind of like, I was high on Bojack. I think I put him in my top 5 last time, but dude, Space Traveling Warriors is a fun team. Like that's it. Like that's a fun team. This guy is freaking awesome. He's of course a support unit before he transforms, and then afterwards he can be a infinite stacking attacker, hard hitter. So depending on how you want to run him, there's so many ways to do it. He leads a really good category. And Time Travelers, he basically replaces INT Goku Black. Yeah, obviously he's just fantastic. So for me, on all levels, in terms of long-term events or short-term events, Super Battle Road, all that stuff, he's fantastic. What are your thoughts?
No, I completely agree with you as well. He's, to me, like, this is something I said the last time we did this as well. He's effectively a slightly updated cooler, and in my opinion, also on a lot more interesting teams as well, personally. Like, you've got the likes of Time Travelers, you know, Storied Figures. Obviously, Storied Figures is a bit iffy, but he's on that as well. Inhuman Deeds, you know, and especially Inhuman Deeds, once that category, you know, actually gets a proper Dokkan Fest lead, that team is going to become so good, right? Overall, yeah. I just think Bojack is fantastic. A great unit. The only downside to him, in my personal opinion, and it's a bit of an iffy one, is the transformation condition, which is only against one enemy starting from the 4th turn of battle. So it's mainly in like stuff like, you know, LGE or, you know, IDBH and stuff like that.
Dragon Ball history.
Yeah, exactly. He's not gonna. You're not gonna see it that much in Super Battle Road, but in Super Battle Road, you're anyways going to be using more of his support ability than anything else, anyways, in my opinion, right? So I think he's great, and not only that, you know, if Dokkan ever decides to, you know, if the anime comes back, of course, we know Dokkan only follows the anime in particular. If the anime decides to ever come back with the, you know, upcoming arcs in the manga, the super manga, no spoilers from my end, the categories he's on with Space Traveling Warriors, you know, Storied Figures and stuff like that, it's gonna get a massive buff. He's gonna become so much more useful for the characters that are yet to come.
Agreed. So yeah, with that said, he's still at 9. So he still made the top 10 compared to last time. Some people got bumped, most of them got bumped off, but he managed to hold the spot, so that is great. Moving on to number 8. We've got Goten and Trunks. So these guys were, I think, the first Dokkan Fest post the 6th year anniversary on JP. And it kind of started a whole wave of, you know, this style of unit where they are joining together. You have for like, what's it called? The unit super attack, activation skill conditions, right? So something interesting. They're really good. They lead Kamehameha, so alone, based on that, they're really strong, right? That gives them the bump up. But Gifted Warriors, I mean, I think Gifted Warriors is pretty decent, but yeah, the only issue with these guys, again, is like I said, it's a smaller weighting. I just don't find them very often on the friends list. That's it. So, but they're very strong. Like they hit high numbers, that's for sure. But they need to be fulfilling specific conditions in order to get to that. And overall, it's not bad, but still, it's kind of holds them back a little. What are your thoughts?
I think they're fantastic. You know, like you said, they lead Kamehameha, so you know that automatically, you know, our first Dokkan Fest leader since AGL Gohan, way back when, obviously, and not an LR, of course. So that's really good in itself. I do agree with you. The Gifted Warriors part of it it needs a bit more TLC, I suppose, to get better. It's still good. It's got a good range of characters in it. If I recall, Vegetas are on there. You know, you've got the Goten Trunkses and stuff like that, of course. Of course, still needs a bit more. I do agree with you on the fact that it does. It's very similar to a lot of these Goten and Trunks units do this. Even Gotenks says they have this additional chance. I think in Gotenks has the same situation when he's in Super Saiyan, right? He has this chance to get additional attack and defense. So they tend to do this. But the one thing that I really like about this unit is that they require effectively 3 units, right? Either Trunks, Goten, or Krillin to activate their active skill condition, which starts from the 3rd turn of battle, which is super easy. But the biggest point is there's always going to be a new Trunks, Goten, or Krillin coming out, and especially with the
That's true.
slew of Goten and Trunkses we've gotten recently. Like, it's insane how many Trunkses and Gotens we've gotten, both kid format and of course GT, which we'll come on to in a little bit later on in the video. But yeah, I just think, you know, they're gonna be quite evergreen, I feel, considering the amount of Trunkses and Gotens we'll get in the future. And of course, their active skill 3rd turn from battle and evades all enemy attacks. That's really good, especially in stuff like Super Battle Road, pretty much anything, to be honest. The moment you can evade, it's like Truth says, if you can take 0 damage, it's always good. So I think they're fantastic in that regards.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're hybrid Saiyans, the movie warrior heroes, right? So that's really, really good too. So they've got a lot of things going for them, just not enough to keep them in the top 5, but they're in the top 10. Now, we're going to move on to number 7. Tech Ultimate Gohan. All right, Gil, start us off why he's number 7 here.
I mean, he's like, I think it was just a lot of the numbering and everything, but he's unfortunately at number 7. I think he's still extremely valuable. You have to remember, all the units we're rating here are extremely valuable, but I think the biggest, like, I'm gonna start off with the negatives because his positives we already know. You know, we already know his positives. He's amazing individually and everything. But that's where the problems begin. He doesn't necessarily still link with other people. Like, that's the biggest problem he's always had since his releases. His link sets aren't great. He has his issues. I think the moment we get S-tier Ultimate Gohan ZZA, I think that's when his value might shoot up quite a lot, potentially. But right now, I think his links and whatnot can be a bit detrimental. However, at the same time, he is on a slew of categories that have gotten a Super Battle Road stage, and that still makes him very, very valuable, even compared to some of the newer units we've gotten.
Yeah, I think the value, that's why he's still in the top 10 to me, is just that by himself, he can carry you through as much content as you can push him in, right? Yep. Like you said, a bunch of the new Super Battle Road stages, he can be used on those categories. So obviously, he will carry you through those events. So if I just want to, you know, get things done, and I usually do these days, I'm putting him in there, and that's it, right? So, but you're right. He, you know, as we mentioned before, we're looking at this. The strength of the card alone is probably the biggest value or factor. But categories they're in, some categories they lead, like Saviors is better now, right? Because I think it's what the LR. Goku and Piccolo, they lead that too, so that helps. But at the same time, they don't link, right? So,
I mean,
there's that issue.
Yeah.
They don't. So, and Ultimate Tech Gohan doesn't really support the category too much. Like I said, he's just a standalone card, powerhouse on his own, and of course he'll get stuff done. But can he really flesh out the team and support them? I don't think so. And I think most people can recognize that it is a weakness. But hey, if you can get through, if this is the one card that you're struggling to finish content and he can help you, I can see why people value him very highly. No problem there. Yeah. So, okay, moving on to the next unit, number 6, INT Broly. All right, so for Saiyan Day, we got Broly as the next as the Dokkan Fest this past year. It was pretty good. And what are your thoughts on how he's done so far?
To be honest, I will say this: he probably wouldn't have been on the list if it were not for the same name update. I'll be very straightforward and say this, because we know about AGL or Broly, right? Like, that man is on a different level. But the same name update has saved this guy into coming into the top 10. What an amazing unit! Like, he doesn't. I know people always go off on his active skill. Oh, you know, doesn't get it until turn 8, but he doesn't even need it. Himself alone is so good. He infinitely stacks attack and defense, so long run events, he is a powerhouse. But not only that, he already starts off with 180% attack and defense, which is ridiculous. And then on top of that, his passive skill is a whole essay, effectively, in my like looking at it. But a lot of his conditions are also based on if there's a pure Saiyan and a hybrid Saiyan. And just like STR Cooler, when we spoke about him the last time, 50% of the game, if not more, is pure Saiyans and hybrid Saiyan enemies, right? So I think that he's amazing. And then on top of that, the categories he's on, movie bosses, pure saiyans, full power, planetary destruction, and human deeds. Again, in human deeds, when that category gets a proper leader, gonna be amazing. And then the category he leads, planetary destruction and movie bosses. I mean, movie bosses alone is an amazing category, especially with how much they've been focusing on either movie heroes or movie bosses this year. So yeah, I think overall great unit, really strong. The only downside, I guess, if we had to say something, again, like we mentioned, is probably his active skill condition. But outside of that, amazing unit.
Yeah, I see people complaining about his active skill condition. I just think that for this guy, he doesn't need the active skill to be super amazing. It's just a cherry on top. That's how I see it. If you manage to get it off, fantastic. But if you don't, it doesn't matter because he's stacking attack and defense. He's hitting hard. Multiple supers. If you need a little RNG on your side, but multiple supers, like that's how you destroy Super Battle Road. Like any category, like this guy has a Super Battle stage, target Goku, exploding rage, full power, movie bosses, all these categories that are coming out for Super Battle Road. He's destroying them just on his own. Again, Hybrid Saiyans, Pure Saiyans, that's what, 70% of the game?
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact number is, but it's a good chunk of the game. So he's going to be having a lot of his passive active during that time. So putting him right there at number 6, I don't think anyone can fault us for that.
I think the only negative, and this is, I think so many Brolys have this problem as well, is obviously no big bad bosses. That's the only issue. But I mean he leads movie bosses and doesn't have big bad bosses. I still don't understand Akatsuki's thinking about that, but that's on Akatsuki for that. We can't really we can't really do much about that. I don't understand them sometimes.
Yeah, guys, logic goes out the window when we're talking about Akatsuki. So, all right, with that wrapped up, let's move on to the top 5. And at number 5, we've got AGL Kid Gohan. You kind of had to talk me in a little bit to, value him here. Why don't you start us off there, Gail?
I mean, I'll be very honest and say this man, I feel, goes under the radar a bit. Personally, I think he's amazing. He raises defense infinitely. Again, that's something we always have to kind of address. He's fantastic in that regards. He has a chance of stunning as well, so he's great in that regards, especially in Super Battle Road stages. But on top of that, he does so much when it comes to like his passive skill. Like, he already has a defense 158% off jump without having to do a super attack or anything. He gets that attack later on with the super attack. And then he gets an additional attack and defense 58% when there's another Heavenly Events category ally, which is a bit iffy. But I mean, considering, you got the likes of like AGL Super Saiyan Gohan in there and whatnot, that's automatically, used up there. I feel like even though AGL Gohan is old now, he's 2 years old, I still think he's used a lot. I mean, the Japanese rate him a lot, clearly, right? So you've got that there going there. And then, of course, he supports all allies with Ki +3 and defense 58%, no conditions. Every ally gets it, right? I think that's fantastic, in my personal opinion. And not only that, his active skill is super easy to make, especially since, recently a lot of discussions have been happening about, is under a certain amount of HP a better active skill condition than above. His is under 58%. And so you get 30% HP and he guards all attacks and then gives allies more defense for 2 turns. I think that's really good. His only downsides, again, I think, are his leader skill in Heavenly Events. I think right now Heavenly Events isn't the category that it could be. I feel like in the future, we still got the likes of a new Super Vegeta to come. We've got the likes of a new Super Trunks to come. A new Bye Guy / Instant Transmission Kamehameha Goku to come. I think once that category expands, I think potential-wise, that category has insane potential. It's just right now, I will agree that is one of the downsides it has. But overall, if you're factoring the major factors, his individual strength, his supporting ability, and I'm not sure about the friends list. You can tell me more about that, Nolar. But those 2 factors alone, I think he's an insane unit, personally.
Yeah, he's really, really good, right? And I think the best thing about him is he's super defensive, right? Just everything he does. His unit super attack, the regular super attacks, his passives, it's all very defensive. So when you're talking Super Battle Road, he's just reigns supreme there, right? And again, the Heavenly Events is kind of you know, it's got potential, like you mentioned, but we're just not there yet. Might be a while till we get to, you know, to see its full potential. But in terms of friends list, I saw a lot, obviously, when he was around. I don't see much now.
Okay.
Maybe like a couple. But again, the friends list is there's a varying factors on that. My rank, I'm at rank 999. My rank, I see like higher rank people. Maybe at rank 400 to 500, you know, where most people should be around. Maybe they'll find them more often. But for me, I don't see him too often right now. But yes, Gohan's great. I was a little skeptical at first when, you know, he came out, but once having had time to play with him, yeah, he's fantastic. And I think number 5 is justly deserved. So,
yep.
Okay, moving on to number 4. And rightfully, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. I mean, he was in our last list. I think he was number 1 for our last list. He dropped down to number 4, but nonetheless, he's still very, very good if he still makes this list. For me, the Giant Ape Power is a very good category. It's slightly limited, but that's why it's 170 across the board. And then again, Shadow Dragon Saga, that's always been a good category. Again, very limited, but if you have a good chunk of those units, you still have a solid category. And just how he is, attack and defense 200% to start a turn. And, you know, and then his active skill raises his attacking defense by 40%, reduces the enemy's attacking defense by 40% for that one turn. Yeah, this stuff is great. Like, he's fantastic. I don't see why people would rate him any lower than in the top 10. So yeah, what are your thoughts there, Gale?
I completely agree with you. I think Giant Ape Power and Shadow Dragon Saga to start off with the leader skill, it's really good, ever improving, I feel, as well, especially Giant Ape Power, you know, with heroes, especially once we start getting more of the Super Saiyan 4s from heroes, maybe, you know, we're gonna see that improving on that side. But not only that, we've also still got a lot of the GT sagas to go through as well, you know, Super 17 GT Goku from there potentially. We're still due a potential Goku and Vegeta fusing into Gogeta. You know, that's also there. A new full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku. And we have Super Saiyan full power Goku ZZA as well, the tech one. And then Shadow Dragon Saga, similarly, you know, we're gonna see potentially a new Omega, new SJ for Gogeta as well, a fusing one. So I think this guy immensely good. And not only that, even though he's got that additional part of his passive where it's like only for 8 turns, I still think even in long events he's still really good, especially if you can place him right and, you know, use him well. I think he's still really good. That 200% attack and defense is ridiculously good. And then of course you mentioned his active skill, especially in harder events. You tend to notice enemies attacking you a lot more, right? So his active skill condition isn't actually very hard to get, right? And getting hit, to be honest, especially with how much defense he has and everything, it's not that detrimental in my personal opinion. And of course, his link sets and categories are very good. I think his categories, especially Fusion, Shadow Dragon Saga, Kamehameha, Final Trump Card, Giant Ape Power, GT Heroes, and Time Limit, all 7 categories. Maybe Shadow Dragon Saga is a bit iffy, but the other 6 categories are like used quite a lot, arguably. Time Limit's new, of course, but obviously, because Goku and Vegeta are around, people are going to be using it anyways. It'll still be counted.
Yeah, you know, I ran a full Gogeta team with the new LR, just on a side note, and he's fun. This is a fun team to run. But yeah, Gogeta is my favorite fusion. But objectively, he's the number 4 top Dokkan Fest exclusive we've had so far. All right, we're gonna hit into the top 3, guys. So here we go. At number 3, we've got Videl. So, all right, let me talk about this. When I heard we were getting a Dokkan Fest exclusive Videl, I was very confused. I was like, really? She gets one? Okay. And I said, okay, it's not a very well-loved and known character. I'm not saying people hate on her, but like, she's on the bottom of the list of people you would expect to get a Dokkan Fest exclusive. Because of that, she needs to be busted, and holy crap, she's busted. Yeah. Like, she's so good. I hate for people to, you know, people are like, no, she sucks because she's Videl. Like, no. You got to play with the unit, and you got to understand that when you play with her, you realize she's just busted. 158% attack and defense, high chance of evading, additional 58% when attacking, effectiveness on tape when invading in the turn. Like, it's just the whole paragraph the thesis statement in her passive skill. And then on top of that, you've got the active skill, and the condition is obviously you need a Gohan, which makes sense. And then leading that to her leader skill, she leads Peppy Gals and Defenders of Justice. So yes, number one, she is the Dokkan Fest exclusive for Peppy Gals. And like I said, once they got an actual good leader, that team is pretty broken, right? Like this is by far the craziest unit. Like when she came out, it was the craziest unit I thought, and she was for sure going to be number one, but she's not. But overall, like, she's fantastic. Okay, the downside I will say, probably her link skills, right? I mean, she's got Battlefield Diva, so that'll link with Peppy Gals, but Courage, Money, Cold Judgment, yeah, she could link up with a couple Gohans. Infighter, Champion Strength, so yeah, it's not the best in terms of linking, but dude, she's so good on her own. It's like a version of Tech Ultimate, the female version of Tech Ultimate Gohan, but just cranked up to 11. At least that's how I feel. What are your thoughts there, Gail?
Nah, I completely agree. I mean, like, the moment she came out, everybody was like, eh. And I was like, as long as they make her fun, I'm more than happy. And the moment I saw her, I was like, yeah, that's a fun unit. That looks like a fun unit, right? I didn't know how she was going to perform. This was before all the showcases and everything. And I was like, the data download, I was like, yeah, that's a fun unit. It looks fun. But yeah, like you said, like, if we look at her negatives again, like you mentioned, the link skills, I feel her category list as well, like, Defenders of Justice, I'm sorry, like, it needs a lot more TLC, like I mentioned for another category earlier on. It needs a little bit more love. Earthlings is good, but it needs more, again, kind of, I feel. Reps of not Reps of Universe 7, sorry. But the 6th year anniversary did give a bit more to the Earthling side of things, with the Lord Master Roshi and stuff like that. But I still feel like it needs more before we can say, like, it's a fantastic category, or, like, up there with the other, like, S tier categories or something. Majin Buu Saga, no doubts, like, fantastic category, deserves to be there. And Peppy Gals, I think, it needs a bit more units, but otherwise it's still a fantastic category with, like, the Keflas, the LR Kill and Cauliflas and whatnot. You'll still use it quite a lot, right? Overall, really, really good. But her main downside, I feel, is like you said, she's like Ultimate Gohan. And compared to what we have at the higher spots, I feel that's where she starts to, lose out to them, in my personal opinion. And that's where the problems begin. Still a fantastic unit. Like, probably, like, if you look at it individually, I think she is probably the best TUR or DFE TUR. But once we start factoring our other, factors and everything, that's where she starts to lose out a bit. Overall, still a very fun unit, fantastic unit. Loses out because of that, personally.
Yeah, so Videl, guys, we thought it was a joke, but she is not a joke. She's really, really good. So, look, if you can pick her up with coins, or if you want to go summon for her, by all means, good luck. But with that said, let's move on to the list. Now, before we get to our top two, let's do some honorable mentions. There's only one, because based off of Gail's personal list and my personal list, I still had STR Cooler in my top 10. Now, you're probably wondering, oh, you're just an STR Cooler fanboy, blah, 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 blah. But my rebuttal to that is, well, okay, maybe a little bit. But really, Physical Cooler got his EZA, and he is awesome. Okay, like, he is freaking awesome. So, with his revival, I was like, well, the, Terrifying Conquerors category is pretty good. Putting the STR Cooler back with Physical Cooler, who can do just as much damage, hit harder, also be decent defensively. Yeah, that's an easy number 10 for me. Thoughts on STR Cooler, Gail?
I mean, yeah, you said it. He's still amazing, like, especially with the recent EZF of his Cooler and whatnot, like, and plus, just generally, he's a great support, like, and we've mentioned this for, like, earlier on when we were talking about Legendary Super Saiyan Broly. Pure Saiyan and Hybrid Saiyan, 70% of the game. I mean, yeah, like, it's not even a question. STR Cooler is still up there as one of the best units. Unfortunately, he just didn't make my list because I personally preferred Angel Frieza, and I think that was the biggest difference. Was Angel Frieza wasn't in your list and he was in mine. But I ranked Angel Frieza higher, so we kind of had to decide upon that, basically. But I still think Cooler is fantastic. He would probably be like number 11 or 12 for me if I had to, extend the list just a teeny tiny bit. But yeah, I just think he's fantastic. He's a really, really good unit. It's just that there, I feel, are some more units that are better than him.
Yep. So with that said, we can now finish our honorable mentions and head back into the top 2. All right, with the top 2, it's essentially 1A and 1B. We can have justifications to explain that, but it is coming from the Golden Week celebration, which is GT Goku, Super Saiyan Goku, and GT Super Saiyan Vegeta. On your specific list, Gail, I think you had Goku at 1. I had him at 2, and then I had Vegeta at 1, and then you had Vegeta at 2. That's why they're technically tied here. But why did you prefer Goku over Vegeta here?
I think the main personal thing was like Vegeta is fantastic, especially defensively. You know, he gets defense per key sphere orb, right? Whereas Goku just gets pure attack. But I think the biggest thing with Goku for me was his categories, right? He's on Goku's family,
Yep.
which is like, there's a plethora of Goku's family units. It's not even a question. You've got the Gokus, Gohans, Gotens, everything in that list, right? But not only that, he's also on Kamehameha, Turtle School, stuff like that. Whereas Vegeta's, you know, we have Worthy Rivals, Gifted Warriors as like the replacement categories, kind of, right? Those two categories aren't necessarily like as good compared to like
As strong.
Kamehameha and Turtle School. And Vegeta's family, while it has improved a lot like in recent years, you know, it's still not the same as the powerhouse that is Goku's family, yeah? Right? So I personally had to place Goku a bit higher just because of that. But I, you know, like you said, you know, it's so hard to, you know, pick and choose between the two of them because they have their both have their pros and cons, and they're very similar units, but with some slight differences.
Yeah, just like every dual Dokkan Fest, especially if it's a double super dual Dokkan Fest, they are more or less the same. Again, they always have this thing where Goku's the bit better attacker and Vegeta's the better defensive unit. But here, to me, like Vegeta is so much superior in the defense department than Goku is, and I value that a little bit more, just given how much you know, the kind of content we've got now. So for me, I put him at number 1. But like I said, they both lead GT Heroes, which is a fantastic team, and then they loaded that up with the side units of what Goten and Trunks, Goten and Gohan, and then Goten and Trunks. Yeah, so like either way, all these are great. Again, Giant 8 Power, they belong there as well. It really helps the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta team. So yeah, overall, like pure Saiyans, obviously. And like you mentioned, I can see your point of view where Goku's family is a better category than Vegeta's family. It's just unfortunately how it is. Yep. And of course, Kamehameha is better probably over Worthy Rivals or Gifted Warriors. So, I mean, with that said, there's some 1A, 1B. However you guys want to place it, there it is. The only downside I want to mention is the active skill doesn't hit nearly as hard as these guys alone.
Yeah,
so,
the biggest problem with the active skill is that they get a lot of their attack from that, you know, per Rainbow Key Sphere obtained. So if you could collect the Rainbow Key Spheres and then use the active skill, which I think maybe in the future they could consider as a quality of life update potentially. The units values would increase massively. I will also say one thing: they are Rainbow Key Sphere changers, which automatically makes them so evergreen. Like these guys are gonna stick around for time. Like people forget the value that Rainbow Key Sphere changers give, because that automatically allows you to do multiple supers across the board. And also, if there are units that have key issues, like Ultimate Gohan sometimes, you know, when he can't link with another unit or something, right? There you go. He can automatically super now because there's a Rainbow Key Sphere on the field.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, the value of the Rainbow Key Sphere changers is, I remember D-Free made a video years ago on it, I think like 3-4 years ago at this point, and he was just like, dude, like Android 13, the INT one, you can make Rainbow Key Spheres. It's just great. And I agree. And I think now, so far this year, we've had multiple Dokkan Fest units that can change Rainbow Key Spheres, right? Or any Key Sphere type to Rainbow. And that's pretty awesome. So, alrighty, guys. Well, that's going to wrap up the top 10 Dokkan Fest exclusives. TURs only, no LRs. That will be its own separate video. There will be another one for EZAs and free-to-play units. You guys know how this will be going. But this is our end here with Gale. Again, to reiterate, this is our personal opinion. Again, you guys might have some changes. You know, if you want to voice your or encourage healthy discussion down below, by all means, go for it. But anything else you want to say, Gail?
No, nothing from my end. All good. Hopefully you guys leave your lists down below because it'll be interesting to see them, and hopefully this time around we we manage to do a decent job.
Yeah, I mean, you can roast us, but don't roast us too much, guys.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
At least we don't have Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken in this list anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I legitimately thought maybe just a little.
Just for funsies.
Just for funsies. Maybe he should have been honorable mention, but whatever. Okay, so with that said, guys, if you are new here and like the content, want to see more Dokkan, Legends, Bojack, anything with gaming, gachas, all that stuff, hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, hit that like button. Of course, leave your thoughts, comments below. Tell us if we were great. Tell us if we were stupid. Any changes you want to make. And hit that notification bell so you know when we go live with videos. With that said, I'm Nolar. That's Gale Riot. I appreciate everyone here. We'll catch you on the next one. We're out.
Bye-bye.